Today I'm going to show you 3 levels of Jimi Hendrix rhythm ideas, starting from beginner to advanced. Jimi Hendrix was a massive influence on me when I started learning guitar, from songs like Bold as Love to Foxy Lady to All Along the Watchtower, which is a cover, to Voodoo Child, all that kind of stuff. What I use most from him is his rhythm stylings. Hendrix has influenced guys like John Frusciante, who I'm a massive fan of. You can see exactly where it comes from in songs like Under the Bridge, Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Mayer, obviously. All of that kind of stuff is really, really derivative of Hendrix. So the chord progression that we're going to be working on is Hey Joe. The backing track is available on my Patreon page, as well as tabs to all of these ideas and some extra variations and isolated parts. So subscribe, the link's in the description below if you want to join. But what we're going to be doing is following the chords of Hey Joe. Let's jump into it. Firstly, the chord progression is this: C to a G to a D, and we've got A, and then we've got E. Now, all 3 of these approaches are going to give you a nice outlook and range of playing the same chords on the guitar. Stay tuned for the 3rd one because there's some really, really cool stuff involved there. But let's check out the first idea. So the idea behind learning this stuff is all about chord embellishment. So we're going to look at what he does and what I got out of his playing by embellishing these 4 chords. So the first approach is this: starting on the C chord, we're going to hit the root note, then slide into the major 3rd, and then we're going to be focusing around the C triad, 5-5-5, which is the 5th root note, and then major 3rd, and hammering on to that major 6th. That's a classic move. And then we return and then hit the major 3rd. So that's the first part. That's really, really classic Jimi Hendrix. That first inversion C major chord is one of the main things that I took from him. Then we move to the G chord. Now, if you want to play this one as a regular bar chord, that's cool, but I play it with my thumb. Now this is just a simple G bar chord, but we're adding the sus4 to the mix. However you want to play that is up to you. Then we're going to shift what we did on the C chord up 2 frets to the D. Sounds like this. And then we're going to go to the A, which I grab with my thumb. Focus around that E shape. And then we're going to hit the major 2nd, or the 9 on top. And then return back to the root note, 5th, major 3rd. Just arpeggiating the chord. It sounds like this. You can hammer on or pull off on that top note. Right, that's a pull off. This is a hammer on. Up to you, whichever one you want to do. And then we go down to the E chord, which you can play the riff if you want. Let's jump into the second approach. This is going to be similar to the first approach, but a little bit more advanced and grabbing some different intervals. So this is what the first chord looks like. Now we've got some double stops. And I want to highlight the root note here as well. This is kind of, if we're thinking cage system, this is a G shape. I never really use this, but it's nice to visualize there. And we've got some nice little triplets. Then we go to the G chord. Now, instead of the sus4, like the first variation, we're hitting the major 6 as a double stop. Pulling off, to the major third, to the root note, based around that E shape. Right, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did with the C chord, up 2 frets. Right? Sounds cool, right? You can also do some different variations, which I will include in my Patreon page, where we might do, you know, some little trills around that sort of D major pentatonic shape. And this is a new idea on the A chord. We've got this. Now this was taken from Boulder's Love, so it's a nice little idea using major and minor 6th intervals from the chord. So we've got a major third here, and then a root note, thinking in terms of A. That's an interval of a minor 6th. And then we're going up to 7th fret on both strings. There's your major 6th interval, and then going up to 9th fret, there's another major 6th interval. You've probably heard this before. That kind of thing, right? Really nice idea. Using some slides as well. Sounds really cool. So that whole idea is this. And so with the thumb, we can get access to that bass note. If you're playing with a drummer and a bass player, you might not want to do it, but it can sound cool either way. Now let's move on to the more advanced version. There's some cool stuff in here, and we're taking it into a different range. This is the first chord shape that I'm imagining. It's a C. And then we go to a G, and then we go to a D, and then we go to an A, and then we're going to go to an E first inversion, which sounds quite nice. I really, really like that. So let's check it out in depth. I'm hitting the C note with my thumb, and we're doing a similar move before where we hit the root note in 5th and have it onto the major 6th. I like that sound. Now we're going to do a little bit of a rake with our right hand. We're going to do 3 upstrokes in a row with a C triad. Now the tricky part is moving to this 7th fret and 8th fret. This is the 9th of C and the 5th. And then we're going to hit the major 3rd but keep the 5th on top. And then we're going to do the same thing but back and forth. And then land on the root note. I love that move. So that first bar sounds like this. And then we're going to go down to our C shape G chord for those cage system lovers. And we're going to hammer on from the major 2nd of G to the major 3rd. I think that's quite a nice sound. And then we're going to go and descend to the major 2nd, then the root note, work our way back up. And then we might do a little hammer on and then hit the root note on the B string. So that move there. And again, all the tabs are on my Patreon. So we've got 2 bars now. And let's do a similar thing with the D chord from 10th fret as we did for the C chord, but we won't do that trill. And then check this out. We're going to do a similar thing that we did with the G chord, which was our C shape, but up 2 frets. We're going to do the hammer on, but then we're going to play a different melody underneath. That's what we've got. And this resolves nicely to the E major first inversion, and then you could even hit the root note on top. This is what it is. So there's a lot in that last part, but it's a really, really good way to expand your range. Hopefully that gives you some ideas. Again, as I said, the backing's on my Patreon as well as the tab, isolated parts, and some extra variations that I haven't posted here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really, really appreciate the support. I'll see you guys on the next one.